Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Studio 78 podcast. I am your host, Nache Snow from NacheSnow.com. This is episode 2. I have an amazing guest today, Elayna from Inked Designs. She is a graphic designer and artist living in the DC metropolitan area. Fun fact about me is I am 6'1". Yes, you heard that right, 6'1". And about 5 or 6 years ago, I started a blog called Tallook, TALLOOK.com. That's TALLOOK.com. And it might have even been longer than that, maybe 8 years ago. Kind of crazy. But anywho, I started the blog because the struggle was real out here trying to find clothes that fit. And so when I would find things, I would actually put it onto the blog. Sometimes I would take pictures of myself. Sometimes I would just have pictures of the item. But anywho, there were several other tall bloggers out there. And then over the years, even more tall bloggers have emerged. And one of those tall bloggers is Elayna. And I met her actually at a tall event and in the area, and we just kept in contact after that. We actually just a couple of weeks ago met at another tall event. And what really kind of drew me to her is when I found out that she was a designer too and an artist. And so, we just had that instant, I guess, like bond because of the love for design. And I knew that when I started this podcast, I had to have her on here because actually when I met her years ago, I remember her saying that at the time that she was about to quit her job and, start a company of her own and kind of freelance design. And I was like, oh, wow. And she has been doing it ever since. And so I wanted her to come on here and actually tell her story and give us like the nitty gritty on, what it took and maybe some of the struggles or sacrifices that kind of go along with it. And so I think that you guys will find her story interesting. And even before I go into it, I would say kind of the lesson learned here is like networking is king, folks. Like most of the people, especially in these initial episodes, some might be good friends, but most of them are people that I just met at random events, be it tall events, design conferences, selling, things on Etsy and, me just saying like, oh, wow, it looks, your email, I saw your email and went to your website and you seem like an amazing person. Would you come on here? So, I mean, networking is king, folks. That is how you meet wonderful people and get inspired. And that is how, you get things done. You need that community and you need that tribe. So, I think you're going to take a lot of things away from Elayna, but if you take anything away from me today, get your, start networking in 2017, get your networks right, get your tribe right. Okay. I will stop now. But as you're listening to this episode, please go and rate me on iTunes in order to help me move up the charts. If you can rate me 5 stars, I'll love you forever. Anywho, let's get to Elayna. Just for the listeners out there, can you tell them just a little bit about you and your background?
Well, let's start with my name.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, my name is Elayna Speight. I'm 27 years old. I graduated in 2010 from the Art Institute of Washington with a Bachelor of Arts in Advertising. After I graduated, I interned at Washington Performing Arts. I was hired full-time, but then the Kennedy Center acquired it, so I lost my job. And then I went to Shakespeare as an intern, was there for a year, and then I was hired there full-time. And then I stayed another 2 years, and then I left to start my own business.
Wow. Now, what I've learned from the other podcasts, like one question I think people are going to want to know is like, how did you kind of muster up the courage to
Mm,
leave like a paying job to be like, you
yeah,
know what, I'm going to work for myself?
true. I was just kind of like frustrated because I was like the lower end. I was a junior graphic designer, so I did everything. So I felt like I was overworked and I'm working for someone else and I'm not happy.
Hmm.
And I know this is not what I'm supposed to do for the rest of my life. I
Mm.
can't, I'm wasting time here, basically.
Hmm.
And like, I just stepped out on faith because like I knew I can't stay here. And I can't do it for my own mental health. I cannot stay here. So it's just like, I have to do what I have to do just to be happy. So I mean, it was hard in the beginning because like you walk out on faith and you know like I know I'm not supposed to be here, and then you leave and you expect all these jobs to come and they don't.
Mm.
So it's like, oh my, what do I do now? Oh my God. But you just you have to trust that you know what you did was right.
Now, did you have like the support from like, friends and family, or was it kind of like just you, because I know people listening are in different situations too.
Sure. I'm still at home, so uh I had my family. My mom was right there. Because I used to come home and like vent and cry and like, she's like, you can't. So she was there. Thankfully, I had the support of my family to
No, that's
understand.
huge.
Yeah.
So you decide to leave. And so what were kind of like, and so these other jobs that, maybe you were applying for kind of weren't coming through. So what was like the next step to figuring out how you could survive and then also like just build your brand? Like what was the thing that made you say like, okay, I need to build my own brand? And then kind of what'd you do after?
It's funny because I would apply to all these different jobs. I would go on Craigslist and Indeed and what's the Behance. I used to apply for those jobs, and like none of them panned out. And then a job just kind of like dropped in my lap. I didn't really have to
Mm,
do anything. But as far as branding, I did my website, I did my logo, I put my resume and stuff like everywhere. Um, so yeah, it was just like kind of marketing myself and taking the time to build my brand when I didn't have a steady stream of clients.
mm, hmm. And then, so just to back up, when you said like a kind of a job dropped in your lap, so it was not like a regular 9 to 5, but a freelance job, right?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was based on people I knew from my previous jobs, kind of like put my name in to this other company. So I got that
That's
job.
amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't discredit any experiences I've had because the people that I've met kind of like spread the word about me. So
Yeah. So, and then, also just for those of you listening out there, just to let you guys know, just to back up for a second, how I know Elayna is before we both even knew that we were two like creative people with design backgrounds, we actually are tall bloggers. I think both of us, I don't know about you, but I've kind of slacked on my tall blogging
me
a
too.
little
It's been like
bit.
at least a year since I've posted anything on that blog.
Yeah, but I'm like, I know every once in a while I'm gonna want to post something, so because I still like it. It's just the
Yeah.
time, right?
Like I
But
went through like this whole debate on whether I should renew my URL or not because it's like I'm not doing anything. It's like no,
oh
I'll keep
yeah,
it. Yeah.
just in case, right? I
Yeah.
would give it another year. But yeah, so out there, there's this tall community, and then Elayna and I just happened to connect because there's several tall bloggers out there. And then in meeting her, I found out that she was an artist, which I was like, this is amazing. And I'll include like the link to both of the tall blogs in the show notes because even though we both haven't blogged in a while, there's still some good stuff in
Yeah.
there. um, but then I remember, talking to you like one of the times we met up when you were first going through this journey where you're like, I'm about to quit my job, and I'm like, whoa! And then I've just seen you like grow. I've seen like even your website. I went on it recently. I have it up now too. It has kind of morphed and changed too since you've
Yeah.
begun. So I think it's amazing you've decided. So you do freelance, just traditional graphic design work, and
Yeah.
then also you sell your artwork, correct?
Right. Right.
Now, do you find that both of them kind of bring in like the same revenue, or is like freelance kind of your bread and butter, and then like the art kind of like supplements that and also gives you that other creative freedom since you're the client, like no one else?
Exactly. Most of my revenue come from freelance, and like the art is kind of decompress, do what I want to do, and if someone likes it, then that's great. Um, so yeah, it's a nice little supplement, like you said.
Now, I want to get into just your art because, part of the website I just, is about storytelling. And I feel like
Hmm.
you do a good job with that because as you've done more and more illustrations, and I'll include a link to all your stuff in the show notes too. Like even on Instagram, your picture is like a watercolor of yourself, right? And you
Right.
have like this beautiful array of kind of like these black and white line drawings, and then every once in a while, kind of throwing in color. So, what was your thought process behind that? Did it just all happen kind of organically? Like, how did you decide to like kind of, you know, theme your Instagram account?
Well, there isn't really a theme per se. Those black and white drawings were a challenge I did called Inktober, where
Hmm.
basically you just ink a drawing every day and post it. So that's basically what that is. And like the color drawings are just like the paintings I finished. Um,
Mm.
so it's not really a theme. It just kind of happened.
Well, it's so interesting. I don't know if it's just because you're a designer or what, but even though it wasn't intentional, like when I go to your Instagram account, like I know who you are. You
Cool.
know, like I think because of, and you see people doing it too. And I think, that sometimes these are really helpful when people do 30 days of something or 100
Hmm.
days of something, like some creative activity. It just gives your account like consistency and some flavor. So when you kind of go to your account initially, you just see all these like beautiful black and white illustrations. So, uh, accidentally, you've already like started telling a story.
True, because without that challenge, like I would have very little on my Instagram.
Now, can you tell people just a little bit about the challenge, like how it works and why you decided to do it?
Well, Inktober was started by, I think his name is Jake Parker, and it's kind of to get you to just be creative. Like you don't, sometimes he has like a prompt, like an official prompt, so every day. But I just decided to just draw something every day because usually you kind of like I talk myself out of drawing, like, oh, I don't know what to draw. Um, so it kind of forces me to do something every
Mm.
day, and you use the medium of ink. So that means brushes, ink washes, anything ink, to markers, just to draw something every day.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they're like amazing. And I'm assuming because you did it every day, your skills just continue to improve too.
True, and it kind of like gets you out of your own head because you kind of, like I said, you talk yourself out of, oh, this isn't good, this isn't. You just post it. It's just like an exercise to kind of loosen you up to draw something.
Mm. And then also, like, I wanted to ask you, like, so for the listeners out there, like, both of us also, what we have in common is we both have natural hair. So it's
Mm-hmm.
unprocessed hair, fully natural. And a lot of your ink drawings are actually women of color who have natural hair. What inspired you to do that? Like, and are your illustrations based off of photos, or are these just things that come to your head?
I started with the natural hair because I just didn't see a lot of fashion illustrations with natural hair.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured I wanted to be represented. I wanted to see myself in my art. So that's what I did. But as far as my inspiration, I get a lot of it from Pinterest. I take like kind of photos that I've seen or different poses that I like and kind of like add my own spin to it. Like I add different outfits that I see, different hairstyles that I see, and kind of like mash everything together.
Now, one thing that I always encourage people is to like try to find your passion. And so
Mm-hmm.
in order to do that, like sometimes like I feel like through your life you have to try different things. Like I've taken like jewelry classes, ceramic classes, painting classes, like like you name it. So I guess I have like a two-part question. The first part is how did you figure out this was your passion?
Mm.
Like, how did like, or is it your passion?
Well, it is. I mean, I've been drawing. It feels like my whole life, and it's just I'm blessed to be able to do it. So yeah, I mean, this has been years and years and years I've been drawing. I have like sketchbooks upon sketchbooks upon sketchbooks filled with stuff. So I mean, luckily I found it. This is I mean, I love art. So
I mean, no, I think you have a natural talent for it too, because I'll dabble in illustrations, like really, I'm like now getting into like botanical illustrations,
hmm
but don't try to get me to draw a face. It's not gonna happen. Like the eyes are gonna be crooked. Like it's not gonna look right. It's gonna be like morphed. Like it's gonna be terrible. So I always think people who have the ability to draw faces in proportion are amazing. I know there's some people out there who may have always wanted to do it and, you know, never made time for it. Do you have any like tips for them and like getting started in illustration?
um to whereas to finding the time to do it or just like starting.
Just even starting, like, because I think sometimes people are intimidated by just the art of drawing, period.
Mhm.
And I guess that's like a hard question to answer, right? But is it that, you just see something and you just try to like mimic it, you know, by sketching it out on pencil? Like, is there any tips for people who just, just they don't necessarily want to pay for a class, but just want to just start doing it? I don't know.
Like I'm reminded of my dad because my dad he draws. Like he used to be an architectural drafter. So he draws and gotten back into it, and what he does is he just takes photos that we have in our albums and just draws them. Like he has
Mm,
like a whole sketchbook of like faces that he sees in photos and just draws them. So I think
mm,
that's a good exercise just to like get started, is to just like take a photo and draw it.
mm.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, because you don't expect to be perfect right when you start. And don't beat yourself up about it. Just practice makes perfect. And just do it.
Hmm. No, I completely agree. And I feel like out there too, there's so many different ways. Like if you don't have time to go to either a physical class, there's places like Skillshare. Like that's
Yeah,
where
I
I
love
learned how to do.
Skillshare. Yeah.
Oh my God, isn't that website amazing?
It is. It's great.
I've learned like calligraphy. I've like taken some of their challenge. I think there was one illustrator on there that, challenged you to like have a notebook and then just kind of draw normal things around your house.
hmm
It's like I mean, I feel like that's a perfect avenue for anybody who just wants to like do something creative, like learn something new. And it's like the videos are so short and then they total like 20 minutes. So it doesn't
True.
even take up, too much time.
Right.
What have you taken on there?
I've taken calligraphy. I've taken water brush lettering. I've taken Etsy classes. That was the one I just took, was an Etsy class, which was a very interesting kind of way to remarket yourself and kind of get your shop up and running. It's very interesting. That's another class I've taken. Watercolor
Ooh.
techniques. So yeah.
Yeah, no, amazing. I'll have to check out that Etsy one. And then for you, so just to kind of um, go back to just the business of it, you talking about Etsy reminded me of it. So you have your website, thinkinkdesigns.com, and
Right.
then you also have your Etsy site,
Mm-hmm.
which is also under the Ink Designs shop, right?
Yes.
How do you market it?
Uh, I use Pinterest sometimes, just to like post pins of my art. I put links on my personal Facebook page to let people know when I post new things. On Instagram, I post when I post new things. Sometimes I do Etsy ads. I probably should do more to market it. But yeah, that's about it. I should do a Facebook page, but I'm so against Facebook pages. I don't know why.
I don't blame you. I feel like Facebook has it's like just taken over, and then it's just like one more thing,
Yeah,
and,
especially with
one more thing, yeah.
especially with like the analytics and stuff, because you can't be sure how many people are going to actually see it. So like, why should I
Hmm.
invest all this time and all this Facebook page, and I don't know who's actually if it's even going to go anywhere. But
Exactly.
probably eventually I'll do it, but I'm dragging my feet on it.
Now the only reason, so it's so weird because I'm like Facebook is good for certain things. So for example, with like Find a Fashion Truck, we have a Facebook private group. And so
Mhm.
Facebook has been amazing for that because we have like over 1,000 members and they're all talking about building like fashion trucks. And so having that private targeted group kind of works for building that type of community. But
Right.
for a creative route where I'm selling an actual product, the
Hmm.
only reason why I decided to do a Facebook page, because I really fought it too, was I moved my website to Shopify. And then Shopify had like a widget that would allow me to sell my products directly on Facebook, but I needed to do
Mm.
it through a Facebook page. So I was like, well, if I'm paying all this money to host with Shopify, I might as well just have a Facebook page out there with my
Yeah,
products. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that makes sense.
yeah. But other than that, I'm like, if I didn't have that, I don't think I would really want to do it. Like even for this new website that I've just built for Nache Snow, I I'm like, do I need a Facebook page for that? Or should I just do a private Facebook group? Like I'm thinking I might just do a private Facebook group, but it's so weird. It's like by default, it's like sometimes you have to have the page, but I'm like, I don't feel like feeding that page,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And then you
Like I
don't want
don't
people to go and there's nothing there.
exactly like I don't post it on any of my other social media consistently. Like I'm not going to post on the page consistently. So what's the point?
Right. And then so how do you so that was is I know the things you mentioned like Etsy, Pinterest, personal Facebook page, in IG, and that's primarily for like your art. But how about your graphic design? Is that kind of word of mouth?
Yeah, it is. A lot of it. I mean, one person found me on what's it, Yelp. I put a Yelp page up. So one client found me from Yelp, but a lot of people find me either through word of mouth, Etsy. I've had a couple of logo commissions from Etsy, and like I said, word of mouth.
Mm. And then, for those listening out there that aren't, a graphic designer, like Elayna is a person like, is someone who you would like want to hire, like a graphic designer, right?
Mm.
Because I think sometimes people like, well, either people think they could do things themselves, which sometimes people can, like sometimes
Yeah.
people have a natural talent, or you want to go to a site like, and I'm not knocking this site, like 99 Designs. Like sometimes maybe for the purpose of whatever you're doing, it
Mm.
does make sense to do like a crowdsourced, whatever. But if you can, you do want to like find a designer that you trust and has a style that reflects yours, like someone maybe like Elayna, like if you're like, oh, I love her style. Um, that's kind of the route you want to go because that person will be there to help you continue to build your brand.
This is true. And
Yeah.
like be and a professional who actually knows what they're doing, knows like the trends, knows what's best to kind of help you craft your brand.
Right. Now, question, do you ever get commissioned to do your illustrations for anything?
I do. Just a couple months ago, someone wanted an illustration of themselves for their website, which was
Oh,
fun.
neat.
Yeah.
Yes. So there you go, people. I'm just saying, think ink designs. I mean, because I'm like, oh, like maybe I need to pay Elayna to do some illustrations. I mean, because it's so funny, like, talking about brand and story, like mine has like botanical illustrations, but it would be kind of cool to like pay you to do like some cool illustrations or art to go with different things or events because I think your style is similar to kind of like what I'm trying to go for. And it's
Cool.
really amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just ask like what's next for you? Like, well, what's 2017 look like for Elayna in Think
Oh
Ink
wow.
Designs?
It's a little cloudy at this point. I've been throwing around the idea of doing like an art book maybe
mm.
or like a calendar. I'm still trying to think logistics of how I'm going to get that done, but that's been in my back pocket for a while. Maybe I do a series in my Etsy shop called Black Herstory where I do like the black and white portraits of vintage Hollywood black glamour women like Eartha
Ooh.
Kitt, Josephine Baker, Dorothy Dandridge. So I think maybe I'll expand that. Maybe do Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, maybe Sarah Vaughan. So
Wow. No,
yeah,
I think that I say go for it. I mean, I am so serious. You know, I'm not lying. When you guys see her illustrations, you're gonna be like, these illustrations are the bomb. So I don't know. I feel like I could see you like even like at a showing somewhere in DC, showing like your art somewhere, doing like a book. I feel like there's so much you could do. Like, and you're so right. Like, because I follow a lot of makers. Like, I'm a junkie. I think both of us
yeah,
are on Pinterest constantly.
I am.
but but even on Instagram, and I don't see myself a lot in a lot of those illustrations. And I think that's what's amazing about yours is not only do I see myself, but they're really, really good. And I feel like that is something missing in the illustration, I don't know, community is like a lot of like African American illustrations, especially with natural hair. So I'm like, I could see you just doing commissions for like magazines
That'd
and
be
just
so awesome. I really want
all
to
kind
do
of
that.
stuff. So I'm just saying, I say just put yourself out there, Elayna. Like
Yeah.
pick like 10 places and just email them and say, you need me.
Bottom line.
Exactly. Like, what would be, and I'm totally putting you on the spot here. Like, if you saw your illustrations any place, like, where would you want them like to be? I guess, like, what would be the dream spot to see your stuff?
Probably dream shop, probably like a billboard or something somewhere. That'd be
Ooh,
awesome.
oh
Or like
yeah.
in a magazine like Essence or Ebony. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. No, that'd be amazing. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, Essence, Ebony. When I post this, I'm gonna like tag them in it too, like illustrator that needs to be featured in at Ebony magazine.
Ah, okay, thanks.
And then just like one wrap up question. My one was gonna be kind of about passion, but it seems like you've discovered like your passion, right? Which is illustration, which we've talked about. Do you have any other passions? I guess would be a good question.
I guess food. I like
I
to
know,
cook
right?
and I like to bake.
Ooh.
Um, I just like finding the time to do those things because, like, at the end of the day, I'm kind of wiped out. But like,
Hmm.
I love baking cakes and cookies, and I love that type of stuff.
Note to self. Invite Elayna to any house party I throw because I can't cook and be like, hey, can you just bring a couple of side dishes and desserts? Thank you. And then also, last question, and this is a total rando question, but what is a product like that you can't live without? And it could be anything. It could be technology, it could be makeup, it could be anything in the world, but like if you were to tell people like, you know what, I need this and you should try it, what would it be?
Oh, a product, like a physical product.
Mhm. It's a hard
Hmm,
one, isn't it?
it is hard.
And you know what, it could be, I guess, like a tool to like an online tool, or it could be anything, just something you can't live without.
Netflix.
Ooh. That's it.
um,
Okay. No. Are you addicted to it?
yeah, and Hulu. I've rediscovered Hulu. So like probably
Hey.
those two. I can spend all day if I'm not working. I can't. I have to do my work. So I can't. I have to cut that stuff off sometimes just to get to work. But like, I could spend probably all day watching Netflix and Hulu.
Wow. Okay. No, that's a good one. And then just a rant. Okay, so I lied. One last question. I lied. What is your process for getting in the zone and getting work done? Like, do you just work in silence and do everything? Do you turn on music? Like, how do you stay focused working for yourself?
um, well, firstly, I have like a list of stuff that I know I need to finish. So that's a good kind of reminder that like this is what I need to do. But also, I have music. I have to have music.
Mm.
Sometimes, sometimes I'll cut on the TV and watch something or have something on that I've watched before. So like I don't get caught up in actually watching it,
Mm-hmm.
like an old cartoon or just something to listen to.
Mm. Kind of just like that background noise, like almost like
Right,
white noise. Okay.
right.
Mm. No, cool. Perfect. And where can the listeners find you?
Well, we mentioned my Etsy and website, Instagram. I'm also on Society 6, whereas my art is on mugs and pillows and shower curtains and clocks. So that's society6.com/ink designs. And then, yeah, like I said, the Etsy, the Instagram, all that other stuff. I don't have a Facebook page. Eventually, maybe I will have one.
Hey, you know what? See it, what if you can survive without it. Now, so I remember when you first started Society Six. So you still liking it, like the ability for them to like really fulfill your items, right? You just kind of upload your artwork, and then people just buy whatever, get your artwork, put on it, and then it just ships it out for you,
True.
right?
It's kind of like another like little revenue stream. Like I don't really have to do anything but upload the art, and I just get the profit. So I mean, it's a nice little. I mean, I don't get a lot of sales, but I mean, it's something a little extra surprise I get every month.
Right. But I guess, but you don't really have to do anything either, right? Like it's just
True.
kind of, it's there. And then if people discover it, great. And if you ever want to promote it more, great. But then
Yeah.
it's like surprise money.
Right.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Elayna. You're like one of my first guests. So I'm really, really excited.
I'm honored to be the first. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Elayna and you leave somewhat inspired, or maybe you want to try a 30-day challenge somewhere. Just do something creative. Sign up for a local craft at your community college or anywhere, but unlock that creativity within by finding something that will force you to do something that maybe you thought you couldn't have done. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Please be sure to rate me on iTunes if you have not already. And also, if you'd like to receive email from me, please head on over to nachesnow.com and scroll down to the bottom to get onto the email list. All right, have a good one, folks.